So good morning, my name is Grant Morley. My colleague to my left here is Darcy Paul. We're with the Stolo Service Agency out of Qwuiwelstom, and we represent the Qwiqwelstom team. So Qwiqwelstom is it's a very established community-based restorative, community-based justice program, Indigenous justice program. So just the overview of our presentation, we're going to go over our Qwiqwelstom process, the program as it exists today, kind of how it was developed, how it's progressed, and then at the end, I'm going to go over how we're using the Qwiqwelstom process to help with the enforcement of our land codes. And I'm going to go over the land code enforcement pilot project that we are currently engaged in.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Darcy Paul. I know a few faces in here. I think we have 4 communities here from Stolo. Swali, Cedar, Qwuiwelstom, and Skokale. Oh, and Qwuiwelstom. So, just want to thank the Comox community for allowing us here. Just wanted to acknowledge the territory that we're on and thank the elder yesterday for starting us in a good way. I heard that she'll be coming back again this afternoon to close the sessions off. So again, just want to thank the Comox people and the Comox Nation for allowing us here today. So just to talk a little bit about the Qwiqwelstom that we have here. So Qwiqwelstom is our traditional form of justice. So one of the community members from Stolo there, she was doing her master's, and a part of the work that she did, she developed she looked at what is traditional justice and how did we do it prior to contact. So back in 1994, she was starting this research, and in 1996, Qwiqwelstom came about. So, Qwiqwelstom, we all know in our languages it's hard to directly translate words from English into our language in Stolo, Qwuiwelstom. So the best way we were able to translate it was bringing harmony back to one's life. So when we talk about justice, when we do the work that we're doing in Qwiqwelstom, we get a number of different referrals. We're doing work with land code now, and one of the main things that we have in mind when we're doing this work is bringing people back to a better place, bringing harmony back to one's life. So that's been the intention of what we do when we're doing Qwiqwelstom work. So it focuses on relationships, not only relationships to other people, but relationships to all things, the trees, the water, to spirit, to oneself. So the relationship to the person that we're working with. So when we're doing this work, that's a lot of what came out of the research that Winona Hall did a number of years ago. So part of it's it recognizes our inherent right to self-determination, which includes the administration of justice. So how we conduct this and how we do this, it's a process driven and supported by the Stolo communities. So in the Stolo territory, Qwiqwelstom does justice for 24 different communities in the Stolo area. So when we look at the map of things, it goes from Kwantlen all the way up to Boothroyd when we're looking at justice for our communities. We utilize a elder process, on our panel of elders. We have about 13, 14 elders from the Stolo area that sit on a panel, and that panel guides everything that we do, from decision making to taking on extra work. Before we started doing land code work, we brought that to our elders and said, we have some people that come to us and they want to do land code work with us. What are your thoughts on that? And they give us guidance, they give us direction. there's been some things in the past where they said, that might be a little too much right now, or, people are not ready for that, so they turn it down. So we put it aside and we just continue working with what it is they guide us with. So the Qwiqwelstom process, it's all based on Stolo culture, Stolo customs, Stolo traditions. It establishes a sense of belonging and connection and community. The elders, we meet with them individually on a regular basis. So we'll go out and we'll meet with them at their homes. We'll meet with them, in our facility when they're in Stolo, in Chilliwack, where we're based out of. So they'll come and they'll sit with us, and we'll kind of meet with them and find out where they are along the way too, because even us ourselves, we need that elder contact. We need that guidance. As we're doing the regular work on a regular basis with clients. And then, they also need that same thing from us. So we're always, we have that back and forth relationship with them. So just a little explanation on the Qwiqwelstom logo. You see the four hands on there. The hands represent the four directions, and they're the colors of our healing circles. So when we utilize our circles, we always refer back to our logo. The wolf represents a teacher, the wolf's paw there. The owl represents the messenger. The eagle represents vision. The wolf paw represents the protective nature of the wolf packs and the loyalty to protect one another. So on the map here, it shows this is the Stolo Terry, or a soft Lamuk, according to the BC Treaty, and it goes all the ways, from the other side, Hope, down to the other side of Vancouver there. And those are all the main waterways that are coming in from the top of Harrison Lake down. So that was the traditional Stolo territory. So on our team, so the Qwiqwelstom team, those of us that are there in the office on a regular basis, we're made up of 6 Qwiqwelstom wellness workers. So, and we have 1 administrative assistant and 1 program manager who's our boss. So prior to about 3 years ago when I started 4 years ago when I started in this position, we had 2 justice workers. And we had a separate department of community wellness. And we've seen a lot of the similar work that we were doing as the 2 teams. So we met with each other, and we met with our director, and we looked at a lot of the work that we're doing, and we're doing a lot of the same work, and we share a lot of the same clients. So we decided to merge the 2 teams together. So instead of being Qwiqwelstom and wellness, we merged them together, becoming Qwiqwelstom wellness workers. So when we're doing justice and they're doing wellness, we all had the same vision in mind, and bringing harmony back to that person's life, bringing harmony back to the one's lives that we're working with. And the other 6 workers that we have, we all have that same kind of vision. We all have a different background that we come from as well. There's I'd say about half of our team comes with an educational justice kind of counseling background, and the other half of our team comes from a lot of experiential. Myself, I'm not really too much on the educated side of things, but my parents and a lot of my own family grew up in a very cultural, spiritual way, doing a lot of what we call that cultural kind of counseling, or sitting with elders and sitting with our aunts and uncles, and the aunts and uncles were the ones that raised me as a young child. And a lot of that experience that I've got in my few years of being here, I brought with me onto this team and started utilizing that into the work that I do. My background is around addictions. So I've learned a lot about what addictions are. I've worked in different treatment centers learning about addictions, becoming a cultural support worker, delivering cultural activities. We have other workers, they specialize in the MCFD process, so they're helping clients that are in the MCFD process and helping them to bring harmony back to their life so that they can one day get their kids back into their lives. So our elders panel, the Qwiqwelstom process, we have that panel of elders that we refer back to on a monthly basis. So throughout the year, we meet with them every single month. So first Friday of every month in the Stolo area, we meet with our elders. And one of the things that they brought to us was that self-care is a huge thing for people in this field. When we're working in this field, self-care, burnout is one of the major things that causes a lot of turnover in organizations. So for us in Qwiqwelstom, they told us, you guys need to do self-care on a regular basis. So we do self-care on a monthly basis. So first Friday, we meet with our elders. Last Friday of the month, we do self-care. And that can be anything from our team coming together and going having breakfast together and having no agenda, just spending that time together as a team. You find out where one another are, kind of help build each other back up again before we go back into the month of working on a regular basis with our clients. As another thing that, when I started in this position is that we have so many elders that go to the annual elders gathering that happens in BC. We needed something within Stolo as well. So we developed our own elders gathering, and it came from our elders that we need something here in Stolo. So when, once a year we have a annual elders gathering, and this past year we called it the All Elders Matter. So they wanted to start this movement of bringing elders back into the forefront of things, and bringing elders back into processes like this. Processes of Qwiqwelstom and all the work that we do in our health building, in our health centers. We have elders that are there, that are just present for the workers, for us to go to when we need guidance and direction. So I think this past year was in November. We had our annual elders gathering, and we had about 120 elders show up and take part in our elders gathering. And from that elders gathering, we're able to also find out which elders can be or would be a good fit to sit on our elders panel, and then get information from all of the Stolo elders at the same time. So we bring some questions forward. We call it a World Cafe session, where we move the questions around and we get that information from them. And that information, we utilize it into our work plan. So starting next month, we're doing our strategic planning for the year. And the information that we gathered from the elders gathering, we're going to implement that into our work plans, and that's how we develop what we're going to do for the year. Then in the afternoon we celebrate, we do a little acknowledgement for our elders panel that does the work for us, and then do we had a lot of door prizes this year, and they had a lot of fun. So the elders got to meet with one another again, without having to travel, wherever it is they need to go to for the elders gathering. They all got to meet right there. So it turned out to be a really good gathering. So Qwiqwelstom, so in BC there's 28 different programs that do similar work to what we do in Qwiqwelstom in Aboriginal justice. It goes all the ways up from Fort Nelson, all the ways down to in Chilliwack, where we are at Stolo with Qwiqwelstom. There's programs here on the island. There's one in Souk. They have the justice down there, South Island. They have Aboriginal justice in Duncan. And then they have another one up in Alert Bay. So when we're doing Aboriginal justice, there's the 28 different programs that are BC and federally funded, 6 more programs that are BC funded, and about 4 more that are independently funded by their bands. So right now, all of those justice programs, they meet on a call on a bi-weekly basis, and they talk about what are some fads that are happening, what are the next steps that are happening, what are things that each program is doing that others can get involved with. So some of the work that we do, and when they talk about on those calls and what we do in our programs, is where our goal is to help with the underreporting of family violence and sexual assaults in communities. So, us as workers, we're community members, and we get members that come to us on a regular basis that say, hey, I have this going on, I need help, can you guide me, or can you give me some assistance going through this? I don't know who to call right now. We get a lot of that comes up. So the sexual assaults or domestic violence that happens. Being community members, people will come to us and look for support, and we'll help bring them into the right direction. So we need to have justice administered in a manner that is consistent with people's culture. So with the 28 different bands or 28 different justice programs, every single one of them do it a little bit differently. With their own, they're able to implement their own culture, implement their own ways of doing things, utilize the elders of the community for guidance, and be able to deliver justice in a way that's bringing that harmony back. We see it a lot in the current justice system, that it's not really a successful system, especially for our people. We take up about 33% of the BC provincial system right now, when out here in community we're about 4% of the population right now. So the overrepresentation, we're working to bring that number down right now. As justice programs, the overrepresentation is one of the key things that keep us going, doing this work, is that we have a lot of people that are in those systems that have no idea either why they're in there or what are their conditions when they come out. We get a number of people when we're working with probation that don't understand what their conditions are. So when we sit with them, we explain to them, these are your conditions that were served to you. So as we go through that process, they start to have a better understanding, and we have that less revolving door happening for them, because now they understand where it is they can't go, what it is they cannot do, and what are some things that they can do now to help them to bring that harmony back to them. And it gives them a safe place to talk. When they meet with their probation officers, they're meeting in a brick and mortar building, and it's a probation office. But when we meet with them, when we go to meet with them, we can meet with them at their home, Tim Hortons, at their band office, at our office, at the health center, and they feel a lot more comfortable where they can open up and they hear better. So a lot of that, I always talk about the vibrations in the air. When we're in our own communities, the vibrations are different, and people can hear and understand things on a lot clearer note. Okay. So some of the things that we do is mediation circles, facilitating circles, supporting clients, advocacy through the justice system, and bringing resources to communities. So we have some workshops that we do where we set up days for communities to come in and learn about what we do. We go to open houses in our community, and we talk about what it is Qwiqwelstom does. How can we better service communities? And we get that input from it. It's a community-driven program. We always use the analogy of the gas and brakes. The client and community has the gas and brakes to what we do, and we just kind of steer the car. So they go as quick as we want it to go, or they can use the brakes and say, hey, slow down, we need to know more about that. So they're in control of the vehicle. We're just more so a passenger in the vehicle. So referrals that we accept, we get referrals from RCMP pre-charges. So somebody steals from superstores, and instead of them going to the courts, they send us a referral directly from whether it's an LPO and the RCMP officer that shows up. We get referrals from that direction. Crown Counsel, so post-charge. So Crown Counsel, we're starting to get a better relationship with them as we're working. The way things are looking right now, we're getting a lot more files where we're being able to work with more we call them K files, domestic files, when there's domestic abuse happens in the communities. And we're finding that they're a lot more responsive when we have a community circle, because people have to, a lot of people that are in the justice system can easily sit there in front of a judge and just take whatever is thrown at them. But when they come into community and they sit in a circle, and the doors are open for community to come in and witness it. We have elders that are there, we have facilitators that are there, we have the other workers and resource and support people that are there, and it's a lot more of a holistic process, and they put a lot more heart and thought into what it is that they're doing, and everybody that's in the circle has the opportunity to put in what we call recommendations and what the court calls sentencing. What are the recommendations that are going to come from each person sitting in that circle to help that person to get to a better place. We get referrals from probation, so we help probation monitor our people that are on probation that are in our area, help them to understand what are your conditions, where are places you can and cannot go, A&D work, cultural support, community service hours. So we work with them on a whole different level than a probation officer would. We get DFO files, we get child and family services, we get files that come straight from community. So chief and council send us a referral of a young person that spray painted the band office. So we sit down, we have a circle with them, and how can we help this person rather than sending them to jail? How are we going to help them to repair the harm that was caused, but also to get them figure out where is it that things start going south for them. When we have these circles, a lot of times we understand that it's not just that the moment when that act happened. There's a lot more that came to it from their childhood. So we would go all the ways back through their life when we're working with them. Their wellness, their goals, and what is it that built up to that day. So we go through a lot of different things. And then we get self-referrals as well. People that have harmed themselves, and they want to come to us and find wellness in their life. So we help them to set goals in their lives, whether it's simple things as finding a job, getting work, or needing to get a license, or putting down drugs and alcohol, a lot of different things, whatever those goals are in their lives, and whatever we need to do to help them achieve those goals. So our circles are made up of 4 rounds. So when we work with our clients and they come in and they need a circle, or communities come in and they want to have a circle, we use this 4-round process. And this was our traditional process in doing justice. So the first round is always introductions, a lot like how we did yesterday when we sat here and we all introduced ourselves and who we are and where we come from. Round 2 has always been, why are we here? And this gives the person that caused the harm the opportunity to explain, what happened that day, what caused them to commit that, or, all the things that built up to that day. And in each of our circles, the elder always has the opportunity to pass the talking piece, to move the talking piece around. So if they feel there's more to the story or they haven't heard enough, they'll say, Mr. So-and-so, can we have you speak again and kind of explain more about what happened? And that happens a lot. We get a lot of people that have come in and they're, I stole from Superstore. Pass. Nope, we need to hear more. They pass that feather back to them. And they start to explain more. They get deeper. So it's giving them that opportunity to speak, but also we all see it with our clients. They'll try and find an easy way out. A lot of times they find out that this process is not the easier way to go about things, but it's a more holistic way of going through things. Round 3 is the recommendations. So it's kind of the sentencing part of the circle. And each person sitting in that circle can come up with a recommendation. So what is it that even the person that caused the harm can come up with a recommendation of their own on what it is that they can do to repair the harm that was caused. So when it comes to their turn, they can, oh, I should do maybe, 15 community hours, or, have 10 counseling sessions, things like that come up. And then, our elder facilitators support people that are in the circle. And in our circles, we also invite the person that was harmed into the circle as well. And they also have an opportunity to come up with any recommendations for that person. In any of our meetings, Andrew, you can bet your it's about $25 a phone call. So at the end of our circles, we have a closing round. So we always do a checkout round for all the people that are in the circle. So make sure that the person that we have the circle for is well, but along with the other people in the circles. So that's kind of the basic breakdown as we go. And the facilitator and the elder, if they ever feel there's more rounds needed, they can continue going until everyone's in a good place, when they go home. Yes.
I have a couple of questions. If the person is a minor, do you work with the parents, or do they have to be there, the parents?
We would, there needs to be some sort of guardian there. Another $25. We do prefer a guardian to be there. So the thing about us being community members, when we get files that come in, a lot of times we know who the parents are or the families are. So if the parents are not well enough or healthy to be able to sit in a circle or to provide a healthy input, a lot of times we'll reach out to an aunt or an uncle or some other family member, and as we go through our process, we normally find that there's some sort of repair that needs to be done between the minor and the parent. And if MCFD is involved as well, we will connect with them saying, we're having this circle and the child would like to repair the relationship with the mother. Are there any restrictions around that, or can we start that process? So on our team, we have Molly Willie. She's our, what does she do?
Child and family.
Yeah, she does child and family work. She does off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. Historical. I can put that like in whole total what she does. Care committees. She's care committee trained. She trains people to become care committee members. So, in each of our communities that are care committee trained, there's a number of people in the communities that can come and sit in on these circles and be that healthy person that we can reach out to, and then they start connecting with the families. They start doing that work, and they do a lot of the circles that we do as well.
Second question, when you get to round 3, the recommendation and solutions, you said 10 counseling sessions. Who pays for that?
We do.
You do.
So we have different resources that we can connect with. We also use our elders on our elders panel as elders counseling. So our elder one-to-ones, when we have, whether it's somebody in the circle that comes out and says they need counseling sessions, or from probation, we have it worked out with them that when they sit with an elder and they're talking with an elder, that counts as a session of counseling. So if they need 10 hours or 10 sessions of counseling, then they can sit with our elder. And we said sitting with our elders is probably one of they'll keep them accountable. They'll tell them how it is. They'll probably do a lot more work than some of our counselors have. I've been to counseling, and I haven't got any more. I've gotten more sitting with my elders than I have sitting in a counseling session. And if they do need a therapeutic counselor, we do have counselors that we can connect with on our team, and a part of our team is our mental health liaison. So she has 6 contract therapists that she connects with through the IRRS funding, and she can connect with them, and our clients will be able to reach out to them as well. Yes.
Is that where your elders are coming from the IRS?
Nope. Our elders come from the communities.
And are they paid?
Yep. They're not staffed. We pay them through honoraria.
So they're the same numbers all the time then?
Our same 14 elders that we have, yeah. And, so we lost a couple of elders that weren't able to continue working, or right now a couple of our elders they're come down being ill, so they can't sit on our panel anymore. So then we start reaching out to other elders in our communities and say, would you feel fit to sit on our elders panel? So we always kind of have that doorway open, when as needed. We at our annual elders gathering, we reach out and kind of get a feel on which elders we think would be a good fit to do justice work and one-to-one work. So we kind of gauge that there at those sessions. So circles are made up, we kind of explained a little bit about this, is the person who caused the harm and a support person that they bring with them. The person who was harmed and a support person they bring with them. So we always try and make sure that they have somebody that they can connect with outside of the hours that we're in office. So somebody in their family, whether it's a family or a friend or somebody close to them that they can call upon when, if in the middle of the night something was bugging them about what happened in the circle, and they can reach out to that person and contact them. And then we also give them service numbers we utilize that Qwuiwelstom hotline quite a bit with our clients. So it's based out of here just down the island in Cowichan there. It's a First Nations hotline where people can call any time of day. We in the circle we have the elder, and then we have the Qwiqwelstom worker will sometimes sit in it as well, and a facilitator. So we encourage consensual decision making. Everybody sitting in the circle there, everybody's equal. Nobody's better or less than one another that are in that circle. And it creates a space to come into, people feel safe in that space. There's that balance. Unlike the current justice where it's a little offset there. When we have our circles, everyone's sitting on the ground level. We remove all the tables out of the room and we just have the chairs there. They're sitting around in a circle. Circles require emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental participation. So all aspects of our lives, when we're sitting there in the circle, we're always trying to stay connected and grounded and be present there. It allows for traditional ways. So when we do our circles, we always can ask the person we're doing the circle for, is there a certain talking piece that you utilized in your family? Some families utilize eagle feathers, some use raven feathers, some use a rock, or what kind of talking piece is it that you would like to use? And we have a number of them in our office that we kind of pick from that we will utilize in the circles. If they preferred a talking stick, then we have a talking stick. If they preferred a certain rock, then we have a number of different rocks. Eagle feathers, all that kind of stuff we have there. And it allows, that's the process of healing is starting there. And when we start in that circle, we start in prayer. When we end it, we end in prayer. And I'll pass this on to Grant.
All right, so Qwiqwelstom, with what we have established over the years, a lot of the First Nations have been developing their landfills within the territory, and a lot of them have put Qwiqwelstom right in their laws as a mechanism to, in the event that a law is broken, they would like to use the Qwiqwelstom process. So with that in mind, we have been kind of exploring what that would look like, how that would look. So right now we're currently engaged in a 3-year pilot project with the Resource Center staff, the First Nations Land Management Resource Center. So it's a 3-year pilot project that we're engaging in. Up until March of this year, we're trying to build the infrastructure to develop this system. So it complements the Qwiqwelstom process, but it expands upon it. It expands upon what we currently have. We're trying to make it more compatible and in some cases more formal, so it can be used in conjunction with, in the event that we need to go push through more formal mechanisms like a provincial court of British Columbia. So a lot of communities in our territory, they have the authority to make these land codes under the framework agreement. But in the event that somebody doesn't want to pay a ticket for whatever reason, they thought they were wrongly charged, or they want to dispute it in any way, there isn't a mechanism available at this time. So this project that we're working on is to develop this mechanism and to address this service gap. So like I said, we will expand upon the current Qwiqwelstom process because what we have is quite established, but moving into land code, it changes the kind of the grounds a little bit. So we're moving forward in the same way, but some slight changes. We still want to reflect the Stolo culture and traditions that our current system has. We don't want to copy a municipal government and say, this is what we'll use. We want to make sure it's a community-owned, community-driven process that reflects the culture and traditions of the area. And again, a big emphasis is to make sure we work in a way that can make this compatible with the Canadian judicial system in the event that we push through and need to go that route. So some of our main project goals for the project over the few months here and into the second and third year is building a consistent ticketing process. So each band has the authority to write their own land codes and develop their ticketing process. And in some cases they're very similar, but in some cases they're a bit different. So one of the goals of the project is to develop a consistent ticketing process that can be used across all the communities that are engaged in land codes. So it just helps with logistical constraints and considerations. Developing and operating a consistent fine collection process. So one thing that we're exploring is potentially, instead of having every band office having to collect the fines, maybe potentially move into a centralized system where we can do it, or our team could do it as part of the project, which would make it a bit more objective. It might be easier for a community member to just pay the fine that way, as opposed to, if they wanted to go to their band office and if they know the person, we kind of been thinking about that. So we're looking at how to do that collection process, what that would look like, how these payments would be received, how it would be managed and given back to the communities, if that's the way we're going to go. Another thing that we're working on is developing a clear registry mechanism. So it's kind of to track cases in the process from, up until, because the system that we're looking at here is after the enforcement mechanisms have done, after the boots on the ground individuals have gone out with their education, provided insight and warnings to the community members, and then they issue a ticket, and then the ticket would come to us. So we're a little bit kind of further along in the process than at the very front. So we're looking at developing a registry system that can track the systems and the administration of steps involved in the process. So tracking limitation periods, making sure notice is given in time, just keeping very consistent and detailed records in the event that we do need to go into a provincial court system in the event that our mechanism gets appealed to that level. So we're working on that. We're also working on a system for dispute resolution. So very similar to the Qwiqwelstom system, where it would be like sitting down with an elder and speaking and kind of going through that process. But also, if that didn't work and if the individual wanted to appeal a decision, we're looking at making a tribunal. But instead of just having an adjudicator look at the case and make a decision, we still wanted to make it a bit more inclusive of Stolo culture and practices. So we were trying to involve elders in the process, having lawyers involved that understand the community, understand our traditions and culture, and again, make it more like, instead of like a very passive system, somebody sits through and just moves along, but more engaging, a more meaningful, more holistic process. That's what we're working on. So educating communities is also on our agenda, so explaining the system, working with communities to make sure it works for them, making sure we move together in a way that works for everyone, and understand how this system works, understand, especially within the enforcement side being done in the community, what they would need to do to make sure a case can go right through our system without being, having to be on the case being unfounded and not be able to go through. So kind of working on education for communities and like the enforcement officers, but also just community members, understanding how it works. We are currently seeking additional funding sources, so we have a contribution agreement with the Resource Center. We're looking at maybe a community, like a collective community agreement to help fund the system, and also any government grants that are available through like federal agencies or provincial agencies. And also, we want to develop systems to collect statistics and analytics, kind of similar to what we saw with West Bank, so we kind of knew a breakdown of what offenses were done and how many tickets were issued, how many got disputed, kind of stuff like that, just to see how the system's operating, see if we can get any information out of it. Maybe one thing that I was discussing with my manager yesterday was using it to kind of actually strategically, if we know that a certain area is getting a lot of tickets, like a certain roadway or something, and we can document that, we can use it it can be used strategically for enforcement. So it's kind of like I guess a fence mapping kind of system. So these are some of our main broader goals involved. So we are working on that, and March is our kind of deadline. So what you have in front of you is our draft process. It's something that we've kind of worked together. Stephen Point helped us with the system. So it's very simple in the sense that a ticket may be paid within 30 days. Kind of the same idea. You have your 30 days to pay. You may have your reduced ticketing costs if you pay it by a certain deadline. Then there's an option for disputes. So you can, like how we have it structured here in our draft process, is that the alleged offender can opt to go through elder conference mediation. So something like what Darcy was talking about in detail, our Qwiqwelstom process, talking with the elder, going through a circle. In the event that they decide to appeal that decision or decide that they don't want to opt through that pathway, we would move into the tribunal stage. And this would also happen if the ticket wasn't paid in 30 days. The individual would be summoned to a tribunal, a bit more of a formal process that would happen with our contracted mediators and lawyers, and have the elder involved in that process. And then again, we want to make sure that the individual still has an option to appeal that decision, which in our case would go to a JP that we're looking to provincially appoint, and then in the event that they can appeal it through the mechanisms from the provincial court or superior court, depending on the fine. So we just really want to make it so it's, due process is available for an individual. They have the ability to appeal a decision. But we're definitely starting to look into research and development protocols with the provincial courts and how we can expand into that realm if we need to. So kind of what I went over was it's kind of separated into two pathways, and we have a more formal mechanism for a tribunal, and then we have the kind of current Qwiqwelstom system, and then we have our built-in appeal mechanisms. So while we are making this system, we're kind of still working out the details. So right now, like once we start taking cases in April, we're probably going to cherry pick them to make sure that we can run them through and learn and adapt the system as required. But even once it's established, it's likely that there might be some cases that are just not eligible for this. It may just be a very complicated legal matter that might just go directly to the superior or provincial court, as may be. So our timeline of events, like I said, is March 31st is when we plan to have the infrastructure built, the system built, the registry, getting ready to operate, and developing the software that we need, and then after that March 31st deadline, we're going to start taking cases and learn from those cases and develop the system and further refine it as needed over the next 2 years, contingent on community participation in this system. So it's a very new system, and it's very interesting, and it's very big project. Anyway, that's our presentation. So if you have any comments or questions, or
I just want to thank Darcy and Brent for this presentation, and I've had the good fortune of working with them over the past few months on trying to develop this, and I really do think it's an exciting innovation. When you look at the process map that has been described, just bear in mind two things. One, Qwiqwelstom itself doesn't make the laws. So First Nations who agree to participate and have Qwiqwelstom as an authority to assist in enforcement and making decisions. Grant mentioned that some have already included in their land code laws the authority of Qwiqwelstom. As this process gets built and refined, some of those provisions of those First Nation laws will probably have to be amended to lock onto this system. So it'll be up to the First Nations to, for instance, provide for the appointment of a Justice of the Peace, because in the framework agreement, that authority rests with the First Nations. And then the Justice of the Peace, in making a decision as part of this Qwiqwelstom process, would be able to say, I have authority to make this decision. It's in the law of Skokale or Lacamel or whichever First Nation it is that's participating, okay? So if ultimately the Qwiqwelstom project is of interest to your community, we need to have a bit of a discussion between Qwiqwelstom and your First Nation to thread together the laws and your systems with what Qwiqwelstom is doing, okay?
any questions for Grant?
I have a question. I was just wondering, is this pilot project available for Stolo First Nations or all First Nations that wish to participate?
Good question.
Just logically, Qwiqwelstom provides a lot of services right now in the Stolo area. My understanding, gentlemen, you can correct me, is that even in what Qwiqwelstom does today in terms of justice services and restorative services, The services are available even to First Nations individuals who are not necessarily Stolo ancestry, but who are located somewhere near. I'm not sure whether or not Qwiqwelstom is going to try to make its services available to other First Nations in British Columbia. Logically, March of 2019 is going to be upon us pretty fast. Grant and Darcy have a lot of work to do to get the whole system running up, and I suspect the first folks who will be engaged will likely be Stolo communities. But let's leave it as a bit of an open question, and I think we can have some discussions with Joanne and others about whether it might be something that could provide a service, for First Nations who aren't located in that valley. I guess what I also see is that Qwiqwelstom is one of the leading enforcement initiatives that we have across the country, and the Lands Advisory Board directors are keeping a close eye on it. It might be something that we eventually, once we learn some lessons working with Qwiqwelstom, say, well, maybe there's an appropriate mechanism similar to that for northern BC. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Andrew?
I don't even know where to start. First of all, amazing. I've heard of Qwiqwelstom before. I know the work that you're doing, community justice, the reputation procedures. It's really, we do good things at Slowichus, but if we could be where you are, it would be amazing. So hands up to all of you for all of that amazing work that you do in the community. It's a good model for all of us. My little caveat speech, Darcy knows the speech, is that the funding for the Indigenous Justice Strategy for community justice programs has been frozen for 15 years or more. Government hasn't funded new community programs. We've been trying since 2003. They will continue to fund the programs that exist, but they will not fund new programs. So there's only 27 or so funded in BC. They haven't provided more funding federally or provincially to provide more Indigenous communities with those dollars. So again, in your own advocacy, your own work out there, it's a push we need to push on government to say, this is the model, this is where we need to go, this is what every First Nation should be able to do, is provide some level of justice services in their community, and government needs to put dollars to that to push it out of their criminal justice system. That's my soapbox for a moment. My interest on this question-wise, you have your existing community justice program, but now that you're adding the land code sort of enforcement mechanisms to this, it's sort of a logistics question. Are you putting the land code piece into your team as it exists, or are you taking people and putting them into your lands office to run this portion of the pilot project?
So the way we are kind of piloting it out right now is within our team. So we have Grant right now working on that. We have a small contribution from lab to help with this process. The part of the work that we're going to be doing coming up is reaching out to the communities that have signed on to land code. I think it's 20 bands have signed on to land code that are within our catchment area, and we've broken down this process into 20 portions and saying, if you sign on to this, this is how much it'll cost you for us to deliver this service to you, rather than you trying to take this and create this service within your own community and doing this work. From this, we've come up with the registrar system, all the different, the tribunal part of this that will offer that service. So when we do create all this, and once everything is put into place, we will have a lot more hires on. We'll be reaching out to more people to add on to our team. So it will be another branch of what we're doing, but it'll still be within Qwiqwelstom.
Can I add as well, you're flagging an unbelievably important point in terms of the funding sources, right? Because as we've talked about over the past day and a half, enforcement costs money, and it costs money whether it goes through the provincial court system or through Indigenous system. And so the Lands Advisory Board directors, we as a resource center working with Qwiqwelstom, we see this as a pilot project, you know, and we want to try to hopefully drive it as far as we can, show some success with it, and then drive at the federal funding sources and potentially provincial to say, this is investment worthy.
I think Grant was talking too much and killed the mic. On our way here, I told Grant, I'm only going to need about 5, maybe 10 minutes. And I looked at the time, I was like, whoa, what happened? My uncle is Stephen Point. Yeah, I lose track of time. We'll take one more question and then we'll take a break. I can't say no to Kim or else I'll get in trouble.
We're challenged at Musqueam. Thank you for taking my question. It's like people have gotten used to the Indian Act and the band office does everything. So why do I want to go listen to people raise their voices at each other and talk passionately about things that maybe don't matter to me because someone in the band office is taking care of that? What it boils down to is how do you maintain that engagement of your community so that their ears are open and their eyes are open to learning these processes? Particularly your elders, I find that our honoraria is not a strong draw for my committee, and so my meetings keep getting moved or canceled or lack of quorum. So I'm encouraging our admin to consider increasing. We pay them $100, and to me, it's sorely lack of recognition in that amount. The level of authority, the amount of information that our members have to digest, as I'm sure your elders do. How do you set that honoraria and how do you draw in your membership so that they're open to hearing and learning about that they're empowered and that they can have input to these processes?
That's the $1 million question.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So a lot of what we're doing, we're constantly engaging as much as we can. Whenever we hear about a community having an open house, we go there and we sit in that open house, we set up a table, and we try and keep it not so formal. Other things that we're doing are we go to each of the bands that are signed on to us, and we give an implementation review. So we let them know, this is what we've done over the year, this is what we've covered, this is, that's just some of the work that we're doing. So we're constantly putting on gatherings, and yes, sometimes we have 120, 150 elders show up, but we've had one the prior year before that where we had 2. So it's always a hit and miss, and one of the things that drives us to keep going is that one day that light does come on. One of the things we talk about at our council table is that we hope that we have community members that want to do this and not have to get paid to do this all the time. A lot of times we get driven by honoraria. Oh, I'm not going unless the honoraria is good. And so many times we get people that come in and they sit there and they don't have input at all. They're just sitting there to collect that honoraria. Then we get others that want to sit on that table and they're like, the honoraria doesn't mean much to me, but I want to give input. So we've kind of opened that doorway to everyone to sit on certain committees to give that input, but we still give that honoraria because it's a part of us being thankful for what the elders are doing for us. And yeah, the honoraria, it's not enough to cover somebody for a month or a couple weeks of work. So it's always this constant juggle, and how can we get community members out to a gathering, to our own band meetings. So we've always looked at different ways and how we can reach out to people. And on my band, one of the biggest things that's working out is Facebook Live. On our Facebook Live, we get about 100 to 120 people that'll watch from home. Yeah, but then we'll have about 15, 20 people show up to our meeting. It's, people want to stay home and they want to watch from home, we'll meet that need. And slowly our numbers are getting back up at our band meetings. And it's the same thing for our community functions. I run the day treatment programming at our work. You know, so our numbers at first were about 4 or 5 people coming on a regular basis. Now I have to tell people we're full. I'm only one person. I can't help, 40 or 50 people all at once. So we break down those sessions and we try and accommodate the best we can. So we'll take a 10, 15, 12-minute break.
Thank you very, very much, gentlemen. It really is a pleasure.